This episode is brought to you by Google Gemini. With the Gemini app, you can talk live and have a real-time conversation with an AI assistant. It's great for all kinds of things, like if you want to practice for an upcoming interview, ask for advice on things to do in a new city, or brainstorm creative ideas. And by the way, this script was actually read by Gemini. Download the Gemini app for iOS and Android today. Must be 18 plus to use Gemini Live.
70,000 people are here, and Bob Dylan is the reason for it.
Inspired by the true story.
For anyone who's gonna hold your attention on a stage, you have to kind of be a freak.
Are you a freak?
Hope so.
And starring Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. He defied everyone.
Turn it down!
Play loud!
To change everything.
Make some noise, BD.
Timothée Chalamet, Edward Norton, Elle Fanning, Monica Barbaro, a complete unknown. Now playing only in theaters. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
Hey guys, this is my league. This is the podcast, my podcast, and I am so glad you're here for part 2 of my special series where I revisit the transformative event that I hosted in 2022 in New York City at Samsung Live, the I'm Here For You podcast, live podcast. And this is just a show, it's 171 here on the podcast that continues to inspire and guide me in a way that I really just want to make sure that we revisit this as we enter into a new year. If you're just joining me, you'll notice that I have broken this series into bite-sized episodes, and there's a reason for that. The original episode 171 is 2 hours long, and if you have time to let that thing ride, I do suggest that you do that. But if you are in a bit of a busy season, or you're just looking to really, you want the concentrated version of this, I feel like each speaker from this event delivered such impactful, actionable wisdom that I wanted to give us all the space to truly absorb it. So instead of overwhelming you with everything once again, these shorter episodes allow us to focus on one powerful theme at a time so you can take it in, reflect, and start applying it to your life right now if you want to. Today's episode is all about boundaries and relationships, and who better to lead that conversation than the incredible Nedra Tawwab. Nedra is a powerhouse when it comes to teaching us how to create healthier relationships through boundaries, those sometimes uncomfortable but always necessary lines that define how we engage with the world and protect our well-being. In this episode, Nedra broke down the art of saying no with clarity and compassion. She offered tools for navigating difficult dynamics and reminded us that boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier connections. So whether you're struggling with overcommitting, I know this holiday season may have brought up some tricky family dynamics, or you're just feeling like you've lost yourself in your romantic relationships, your friendships, or even your work relationships, Nedra's wisdom will give you the tools you need to take back your peace. This episode is like a reset button for anyone who feels overwhelmed by the expectations of others. So let's jump in with Nedra and explore how boundaries can be the foundation for relationships that truly serve us and not just others. Okay, so our next guest is, I feel like she is saving us by the hour on Instagram. By the hour. And it's just this thing of like, is she like, how is she in my text messages? And like, is she, how is she getting all of this? So our next guest is Nedra Tawwab. Okay, I got to give y'all her pro stats. She is a New York Times best-selling author. But before I get into the rest of your stuff, I want to tell you publicly in front of every person here how proud I am of you for sharing endlessly with us. And so I went on and I was like, you have 7,008 as of this morning, like book reviews on Amazon, and like not even a single 1-star. Like they can't even hate on this book. Like, who writes a book that can't even be hated on? Like, I am consistently referring to it. It is a book that I know that I'm going to have forever. And so I just wanted to thank you. Like, I'm a real fan of your work, your presence, and your consistency.
So, okay, but I got to keep telling you, she is a licensed, and it's like bolded licensed therapist. Yes. She sees clients. She is a sought-after relationship expert. She practiced relationship therapy for 15 years and is the founder and owner of a group therapy practice, Kaleidoscope Counseling. Not new to this. She helps people create healthy relationships by teaching them how to implement boundaries. Her gift is helping people create healthy relationships with themselves and others. So I want to talk about friendship with you. I feel like for as long as I've been online, for as long as I have my podcast, and now I have my mom group, it is like making friends, keeping friends, breaking up with friends is always, I can never go a day with that. So I was online last week and I watched someone talk about the impact of quality friendships as a part of their wellness journey. And so I wanted to ask you, I was like, what is a quality friendship? How am I a quality friend?
I would say one where you feel safe. You can open up. There is low judgment. I'm not saying no judgment. Low judgment. There's this sense of openness, connection, love, admiration, celebration, and togetherness. As women, I think, unfortunately, we are raised in this environment of being competitive, being combative with each other, and we have to check that about ourselves. We have to really look at the moments when we are not leaning into being healthy people, therefore making us unhealthy friends.
I know. We all had to sit with that one for a second. There is a reel going around on the internet that I saw that said, always remember, if you're not invited, don't go. If you're not told, don't ask. Late invite, decline. You were never a part of the plan. You just suddenly became convenient. And people were like, yes. And I was like, a therapist would be like, no. And so, what's that about?
I heard some folks out here like, yes, if they did not invite you, don't go.
Yes.
I heard some signifying with that. And, I think that's our fear of rejection. We all want to be invited to our classmate's birthday party, right? And so that's coming up like, oh my gosh, they didn't think about me first. I feel left out. That is a great place to start. I feel left out. Again, go back to you, work on your stuff. This person, they have a whole life. They could have forgot. It could be something else, but you were invited. If they invited you a week before or the day of, you made the list. You can be there. You should be there. Don't reject yourself when someone else has not rejected you.
I was like, I know the therapist's not going to go for this one, but... But I've been there, you know what I mean? I feel like I was a person that would make up stories about what people were doing when it's like, people forget, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes when it comes to friendship, I feel like there is so much pressure. Like there's a thing that's going around on TikTok that's just like, what is the one thing you learned from like your last friendship? And I'm like, so like as it was like a relationship, like it is the one person. I think I view friendships like bouquets. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Like, I feel like there's this idea. My son is 4 years old, and every day he's like, my best friend is. And and it changes weekly or monthly. He goes back, and I feel like sometimes as adults, it's like all eyes are on one person. Help us. Should we be doing that? Like, how are the pressure for one person to be your friend feels heavy.
As an adult, I think we need at least 5.
Okay.
At least 5. Like if I had to put a number to it, we need to spread that energy around. I have been in those relationships where you are the only friend. It is a lot of pressure. Girl, I do not want to go to Target with you every time you go. I don't always want to spend Valentine's Day with you. I don't want to be the person to watch your kids every time.
Right.
You know, like you need other people. Mm-hmm. We need a community of people. And community is not one person, it's not two, it's a full neighborhood.
Right.
Now, all of those friendships are not going to be close friendships. Okay. Some of them will be closer than others, but we need multiples. We should not be putting that energy all on one person. If you have an issue, yes.
Yes.
You the one person.
Yeah. The one me. Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. And
I
don't know why we do that. It's almost, you know, Drake had the No New Friends, and that I love that song. But I want a lot of new friends.
Yes.
I'm always meeting people. I hope I meet somebody this weekend and today.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's flirting with your life, similar to what Debbie said. I hope I meet somebody this weekend, a friend. I don't know that I've ever gone into something like that, but I should and I want to.
My kids go to the park and they be like, we're making friends. I'm like, here today at the park with these strangers?
Yes.
They're like, we're going to make friends.
Yes.
That's their goal for playing at the park.
Gosh.
So I'm like, oh, well, maybe my goal when I'm with other people should be friendship.
Yes. I think just prioritizing it and thinking about it and not I feel like even in the sense of dating, waiting for it to happen, somebody to come to your door. If you know, it'll just happen, which is not true. So if someone is chronically unable to make friends.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Global X. Since 2008, Global X ETFs has been committed to empowering investors with unexplored, intelligent solutions. Global X specializes in exchange-traded funds that offer exposure to the artificial intelligence ecosystem, including themes like data centers, robotics, semiconductors, and cloud computing. To learn more about Global X's entire suite of ETFs, from covered calls, fixed income, emerging markets, and more, visit globalxetfs.com.
What's up?
How do I say this clinically? It's a you problem. You know, what is it? Sometimes we have these rigid boundaries where our walls are so high, our expectations are so high. This person didn't call me back when she can't be a friend. It's like, really? Because someone didn't call you back? So sometimes to have friends, we have to lower our expectations. We have to look at the person, what they're actually capable of, their abilities, their life, the other things that go on. We cannot create a story. A lot of times we get into this mindset of, I'm going to create a story for this person. They didn't call me back because, and it's like, you don't know that. Something else could have happened. They could have been in traffic. Anything could happen, but we create these stories and then we run with it and we don't have friends. You will notice that folks who say, I don't have any friends or I have a hard time meeting friends, it's usually the same sort of scenarios that play out for them. I met this person and they did this. And then the next story is, I met this person and they did this. It's like, so everybody's doing the same thing to you? So I wonder, is it your expectation? Is it something that perhaps you aren't doing to invite people into your life? Because it's not all on the other person. I talked to someone once who was sick, and their friend didn't offer to bring them any medicine or soup or something. And she was like, every time this person is sick, I'm always there for them. I said, did you ask her? Why do I have to ask? I do it because she's not you. That's what you do when people are sick. I like to be left alone when I'm sick, so I think that's what your friend was doing.
Right.
I'm not texting anybody.
Right.
So if that's what you require, you have to let people know that, because they can't assume to know what your needs are. So you're losing friends because you're not even up front.
Something that you say that I feel like needs to be said in this room tonight is that you will have to repeat yourself. Mm-hmm. We are people that's like, I told her what I like. She saw me. Why do I have to repeat myself?
I feel like I could write a book on why we need to repeat ourselves. Can we just acknowledge that we all used to be children and we were probably all told to clean our room 1,000 times and none of us probably got it? Maybe somebody in here got it, but I didn't get it.
Right. Also.
Over and over and over. I do the same thing with my kids. Every night at bedtime, brush your teeth, floss, mouthwash. Every night I say the same thing. Brush your teeth, mouth, like over and over, because repetition works. I'm shocked when they get it. And one day, hopefully, probably when they leave my home, they'll be doing it. But we have to repeat ourselves, not just to our friends, to our partners, to our, business partners, employers. It is a relationship skill that is so important. Just like we repeat things to ourselves. You look good, girl. You look good, girl. You need to do that with other people. You have to restate the need. You need to make the request again. You have to let them know, I'm not drinking. Whatever it is, repeat it. That is not an issue per se. Now, if you feel like someone heard you and they're clearly not listening, then you can handle that. But sometimes people are not thinking with you in mind always. We think people remember every single thing we say, and they're probably taking in about 20%.
That's real. Before I get to the question, I feel like you posted, and I wish I remembered it exactly, something about the kind of like the difference between like friends and acquaintances, and how, I'll muck it up, but like kind of like how people don't realize who's a friend and what's an acquaintance. And so can you reflect back on that post and like speak to that here?
I would say an acquaintance is someone that you see in a certain context. So maybe a mom group or maybe a book club. But if that relationship does not transition outside of that space, that might be an acquaintance relationship.
That is so helpful to me. And I feel like because so many of us will be in certain settings and it starts to get confusing, and you're like, that's my friend, and it's like, from the book club.
And then we will have friendship expectations of acquaintance.
Yes.
She didn't come to my party. Well, it's not your friend.
Yes. And so I was like, I feel like that would be really helpful. I am going to let, can we get a question? Does anybody... look at this outfit, feathers. Come on. We're over here. Can we get, if not, I'll pass it. You got it.
We're going to cross over, right, guys?
Don't worry.
Here you go.
First of all, thank you guys for being here. This is like really awesome, really great. But why are we so rigid with ourselves and others? Where does that come from? Because I've been rigid with myself and others. Like if they don't do this, then they're not my friend. But then I had to look at myself and say, well, I'm rigid with myself too, and why am I rigid with myself?
I will say with others, it is an unnecessary self-protection sometimes. I remember when I had my first car, and my mother kept telling me over and over, don't let your friends drive your car. And I'm like, what kind of friends she think I got? That's going to take advantage of my car. That was her story.
Yes.
So she apparently had some friend who took her car. I don't know. I'm making up stuff now. But
Right.
I'm like, I've never had a friend do that before. So a lot of it is just us trying to protect ourselves. So we're trying to be in this mode of, I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to put myself out there first. So people have to fulfill these things that are sometimes impossible. For somebody to come to every birthday party, they have to be a bridesmaid?
Oh, do not get me started on the bridesmaids.
Yeah. I mean,
y'all, ooh.
But it's like we don't have any flexibility to say that perhaps this person is a really good friend and also they cannot.
So, good friends cannot.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. It doesn't make them a bad person. And with ourselves, that's a therapy session.
So, I knew she was going to say that. Yep, it is. So we are down to the wire. Nedra, thank you. She will be back.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate and subscribe. It helps more people discover the show and join in on these conversations. If you are looking for a place to continue the dialogue, consider joining my online community, My Leak in Mamas. And no, it's not just for moms, but there is a lot of big mom energy there. This is a space where we can connect on and offline. We typically dive into deeper topics, not just from this podcast, but we do talk about this podcast. And this group has been around for a few years now, and there is a real sense of belonging. So check it out at myleakandmamas.com. Also, I am thrilled to share that my new website is live at myleak.com, myleik.com. You'll find all of the details about my coaching offerings there. Right now, I am doing some one-on-one work, and I'm working in small groups. So if you've ever wanted to work with me, this is your chance. I want to help you take your life and your goals to the next level. Thank you again for listening, and I can't wait to see you next time.